Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another version of our COVID-19 interviews. This time we're talking to one of the real go-ahead destinations in Europe. They seem to be ploughing on quite nicely with tourism at the moment, and that's Croatia. And even though she's normally based in London, I do happen to know she's in Split in Croatia at the moment, and that's Darija. Good afternoon, Darija.
Hi, good afternoon.
How are you doing?
Very well. It's nice and sunny and hot, so a typical Croatian day.
A nice Croatian day. One of the things I've always noticed about Croatia is that their nice days seem to go on a lot longer into late October. I've been swimming in Dubrovnik, and that would be virtually impossible unless you wanted to have a heart attack in the United Kingdom.
Yes, those two are quite different. Yeah, you can still have a nice swim in late September, even early October. Some years we do get quite a long stretched summer.
Cool. Now, Darija, I know that Croatia is on the UK's Foreign and Commonwealth Office green list. I know you're accepting visitors, but what can one expect when one arrives in Croatia or even at the British airport? I know that there's been some discussion and some reports of fairly long queues at the borders coming into Croatia if you were travelling into Croatia by car. But I wondered if that's the same if I arrived, say, at Dubrovnik airport or at Split. Would I be faced with the same thing? And in fact, what is the detail of what I will face?
Well, it's pretty straightforward, really. So we asked not only UK travelers, but all EU and travelers from outside the EU prior to their arrival to fill in an online form to announce their visit and help us actually speed up the processes at the border. So they answer a few questions about themselves and where they'll be staying. This is obviously for tracking and tracing purposes. And once they fill that in, they receive a confirmation of their application, which they need to either print out or have available on their phone to present at to the immigration officer, so at the border. And that sort of speeds up the process, so the immigration police doesn't really have to ask you all these questions because you filled in an application form prior to arrival. Yes, you're correct. We have experienced crowds at the border, especially if you're arriving by car. Not as much at airports, but that is because a lot of airlines we haven't had as many direct lines coming into Croatia, but we do see things picking up this July, and from mid-July from the UK we'll see even more direct lines introduced from UK to Croatia. So you know, one would hope for crowds at the moment, right? But not too much.
Good.
But
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's to be expected if there's yet another level of security required to get into a country. Once I'm through the airport, mandatory to wear a mask in public?
Yes. So also when you fill in the application form to announce your visit, once you get the confirmation, you also get guidelines and recommendations on how to stay safe and healthy. So all the guidelines you will actually know in advance. At the moment, masks are mandatory in shops and supermarkets and on public transport and on ferries. The rest of the places, obviously, if you go in enclosed spaces, we do recommend wearing a mask, but at the moment it's not mandatory. It's also mandatory for hospitality staff. So you'll see waiters in bars, restaurants, if they are involved with serving or preparing food and beverage, they would need to wear masks.
Okay. So I get to the hotel, they'll be masked. The people that are serving me will be masked. Recommendation is to pretty much use your brain, and if you're in an enclosed space with other people, to put it on. Has there been dramatic changes in the way that your hotels are handling visitors? Buffets, swimming pools, that type of thing?
Of course. So every different industry, every different stakeholder has been given detailed guidelines on how to help contain the virus, not
Yeah.
only to keep visitors safe, but also to keep their employees safe as well. So first and foremost, the physical distance recommendation is 1.5 meters in Croatia. So you'll see that in restaurants and bars, tables are spread out a bit further out. Buffets obviously don't exist as they did before, so there are still obviously buffet tables, but you would need to order from a waiter, and then a waiter would bring it to you.
Okay.
And
what about oysters from Maliston?
Well, you can still have those, of course.
They're the best oysters I've ever had anywhere in the world.
Yes, they are quite tasty, and they go very well with the Pelješac wine as well.
It's very good. Have all the British tour operators put you back on program? Have you had a lot of discussions with British tour operators? Have any of them dropped Croatia? Have you had any new entrants into it?
Well, we obviously, just like any other destination in this situation, our partners did need to sort of reduce their programs a little bit, but they were all very keen to keep Croatia as part of their wider programs. And Croatia is still a very popular destination, so nobody has decided to drop it completely. We are still quite a young destination. We're very diverse, so we have quite a lot to offer to different type of travelers. So I think also our partners, tour operators, they recognize that. So they've all been very keen to keep Croatia as part of their programs. Good.
One of the accusations in the emergence of Croatia as a major tourism destination has been over-tourism. And I know from personal experience of it, I've been in Dubrovnik when a couple of cruise ships have come in, and it's given that it's one of the most attractive World Heritage sites in the world, it does detract from it somewhat, I would say. Has the Croatian tourism authorities thought about that? Are they doing anything about it? Are cruises going to pile back in again as soon as they're allowed to? And will we be faced with very narrow ancient alleys packed out with cruise passengers?
Well, I think Dubrovnik, obviously, yes, it has had some issues with over tourism in the past and prior to the pandemics, but they did work very hard to help contain it, or to help limit the number of visitors, especially from cruise ships coming in to the old town at the same time. So they did actually introduce quite a lot of measures to help limit the number of people in the old town at the same time. I don't think this summer they will have that issue. So anyone who wishes to visit Dubrovnik this year actually might have will have completely different experience, quite an unusual one for July or August, because you will not see the usual crowds. So it's a good time to go, really.
Yeah, excellent. And I think I mentioned before, you mentioned that you're a relatively young tourism destination compared with lots of others in Europe. Do you think this is an opportunity for Croatia to, you've opened your borders, people are very excited about going. Do you think it's an opportunity for Croatia to come out with like a reboost, a reboot of their brand that, as you mentioned, it's very diverse, some fantastic food, fantastic warm waters right into the late part of the year. Is this an opportunity for Croatia in many respects?
Oh, absolutely. I think but for Croatia, I don't think it's a matter of rebranding. It's more of a matter of reinforcing the brand that we've been promoting and pushing so far. So this diversity, great cultural heritage, amazing diverse gastronomy, natural heritage. So all of these aspects make a really, really unique tourist offer on in such a small country, in such small space. So now is the time actually to push that even more, but also put in the focus that Croatia is a safe destination, because we've always been a pretty safe destination, and throughout the pandemics we've handled it pretty well, and we did maintain the numbers, the infection numbers pretty low. So we are still trying to maintain that kind of image, and it's going to take really everyone, the locals, all the stakeholders, and the tourists, really, to each play their parts in helping us stay a safe destination.
Good. And finally, you've mentioned that there's not, the airports are not quite as busy as they used to be. Have you had discussions with specifically UK airlines or airlines that are running that route to see when they will be starting to rev up their
Absolutely.
their routes,
Absolutely.
their capacity?
Wizz Air has already started from mid-June, Croatia Airlines as well. From mid-June, EasyJet has already started flying some parts of their program, and will be ramping up number of flights later in July, as well as Jet2 and British Airways, who will be resuming their programs from mid-July. So in a few days, we'll be seeing a much bigger number in direct lines from the UK. So we're looking forward to that, and we're really hoping that we'll see end of July with really strong numbers from the UK market, and August and September hopefully will be positive as well.
Good. Well, thank you very much, Darija. I will let you get off and enjoy the split warmth of the sun, and I hope to see you in London before too long.
Or maybe you can come to Croatia. We'll take you for some oysters.
That sounds a good deal better, actually. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.